Yeah. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are live after 5 a.m. and we are getting ready for our spring pause. Who told me it was a spring pause, not a spring break, because we're only off 5 days. Okay, so we only get Friday, Monday, Tuesday. So the cool thing about this is that if you guys wanted to, not saying you have to, I'm not making you do it, but if you wanted to, you could go and do this app over break. Are you with me? All right, so just wanted to, guys, let you know this, that, and I'm going to put this on video here today, that I have a horizontal arrangement up here, and it's pink, and it's got the up button and all this stuff that I was showing other students how to do it again. Has the table arrangement in it, but I want to show you this, that if I delete this entire horizontal arrangement, I better be ready to do that because I'm going to lose everything inside of there. Okay, you with me? So if you work really hard to get a control panel in there and you put 20 buttons in there and then you hit delete, everything in there is gone. So you got to be careful about that, right? You got to know what you're doing. Okay. Looks like I'm missing. Where's my right button at? B10 right. That image is in there. BTN down. Looks like it's in there. All right. So we have an accelerometer, a clock, game time, sound, speech recognizer, text to speech, and this time right here. Well, I can go ahead and do that in code if I want. I can show you how to do that. How to set the time. All right, yeah. FMS students on the board, Butler Tech 1. And then you need a Google account. Do you have a Google account? You need to subscribe to my channel, DR DANDROID, because you're basically 2 apps behind. And all my apps are out there. Just for... all right, so we're getting ready to create your first variable, okay? Let me tell you a little bit about variables. Variables help you remember things in a video game, okay? So let's say you were playing Pac-Man. What do you have to remember? What would you need to know if you were playing the game of Pac-Man? Guys, I'm asking a question, so this is where you guys get to respond. Elijah, what do we have to know? Look at the Pac-Man. We got to know high score, right? Do we have to remember high score? Yeah. What else do you have to remember when you're playing Pac-Man if you wanted to play the game and display it? Do you need to? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I have to make the player move, but I'm talking about remembering. Don't we need to remember your score? Yeah. Do we need to remember high score? Yeah. Do we need to remember player 2's score? Yeah. Do we need to remember how many lives you have left? Because what happens if your lives get to 0? Game's over, right? So you guys have to say to yourself, what do I need to remember here? Are you guys with me on this? So question, in our game here, when we're moving left, right, up, and down, what do we have to remember? We have to count what? How many times we went left, right, up, and down. Are you guys with me on this? Who understands that? Is that hard to remember? Do I want to remember left, up, down, and right? And count how many times I did this? So if I have to count how many times I did this, I need to create a variable for it. Thumbs up if you're with me on that. Do we need to remember the time? Yes. So we have to create a time variable. So we have to go in here and create 5 variables. Are you with me on that? All right, so today is a great lesson, and this is why I like doing this, because now, after this lesson, you should know how to create and utilize a variable. All right, when do we use variables? When we want to do what? Remember. When you want the computer to keep track or remember, right? Keep track in memory. Are you with me on that? If you want it to count left, right, up, and down, you got to have a count variable for all that. You want it to keep track of your score? You want to keep track how many lives you have? You got to have a variable. Here we go. Go to blocks. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is go ahead and create variables. So you go to your variable box. Now I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. No, I won't do it this way. Let's do it this way. All right. So here's your variable name. So this is count left. Count how many times I went left. Now, when you create variables, there's two choices. You can either make it a text or a string. Is count going to be a number, or is count going to be like a person's first name? A number, right? Counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you don't, I mean, let's say I was going to do a person, let's say you wanted to remember who was playing the game. So let's say player's first name. Let's say you wanted to remember the player's first name. What would it be? Number or a string? String, right? Because that's not a number. Their name is not a number. So that's a number, that's a string. And if you wanted to remember the player's first name, you could ask him for it. Could we have a welcome page and say, hey, what's your name? Chris. Okay. Chris, you're up. Here you go. Good luck in your game. You with me? We could remember his name and display it on the screen. You guys with me on that? So there's two ways of creating variables. Either you decide to make it a string or a number. What is a string? Strings are, just think of your email address. Letters, special characters, numbers. What's your email? What's your email address? Okay, do you have a number in there? Do you have a special character like the @ symbol in there? Yeah. Do you have a dot in there like .com? Yeah. So a string is basically anything you see on a keyboard. Numbers, here's my trick for numbers. Well then, you know, how can numbers be strings and numbers? That's a good question, okay? Your social security number, is that a string or a number? No, it's not a number at all. Your social security number is a string. So here's my test for it. Number one, do you do math with it? Just ask yourself, do you do math with that number? If you don't do math with that number, it's probably not a number at all. It's probably a identifier string. Your phone number, string or number? It's a string. You don't do math with your phone number. Are you with me? 513-868-1111. You're not doing math with that. That's an identifier of who you're calling. Does that make sense? You guys getting this? Strings, special characters, letters, numbers, pound symbols, all that stuff are strings. Numbers, if you do math with it, it's a number. Okay, you with me on that? All right, so let's copy and paste this 4 times. Okay, duplicate it and duplicate it 4 times. Why do I need 4 of them? Anybody want to know? Anybody know why I need 4? Yep. So I'm just going to go in here, and this is going to be count up. This is going to be count down. And this is going to be count right. So you just make a list. And if you're not sure what you want to count, all you got to do is go back here. Left, up, down, right. There's 4 of them I need. Let's go back to blocks. What's the other one that I need? I'm going to put this over here. I need 1 more. What do I need the other one for? Okay. The other one's going to be called game time. And you're going to put a 0 in there. But guess what? I'm not going to initialize it to 0. I'm going to initialize it to 60. Okay. Why? Because that's what it's going to start at. Okay. Let's make this pretty. Any questions on how to create a variable? Good. Thumbs up if you got it. Was that hard? No, it's really not hard. You just stop and think, what do I want to remember? Okay, these are the 5 things I need to remember. All right, we create a variable for it. Okay. Could you create a variable for the high score, player score? Yeah, you can do all whatever you want to do. You do. All right. So we're going to go in here to screen initialize. So what is screen initialize? I'm glad you asked. Screen initialize is when you click on your icon. Have you guys ever gone to your apps page and there sits the icon, right? And then you press it, and what happens when you press that icon? What happens? It pops up. That popping up of the app is called the initialize phase. When it's popping up, it's initializing on the screen. Thumbs up if you understand that. So when we pop that up on the screen, when you initialize it on the screen, what do we want to happen? Okay, so when this pops up on the screen, I want to start my timer. So I'm going to go down to my clock time. Okay, and I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to say set my timer dot enabled to true. By the way, let me show you guys this real quick. Everybody watch up here. It's going to go really quick. If I click on my white space, did you know that you can type words out? Probably not. Let me show you this. So I'm going to click on my white space. I want the word true to go here on the very end. So I'm going to type in TRUE. Watch what happens. Do you see what just happened to my block? How that got that block out for me? Okay, so that's just a quick way to program. If you know what you're looking for, you can start typing it. And then, if not, you would have gone into your logic block up here and just grabbed out a true. Okay, it's green. You can go into logic and grab a true. Okay. Okay. So guess what I just did there? I just started my clock. Okay, what I'm going to do down here also, just to show you this so we can do this in code so you can see it. We want to go ahead and set our clock's interval. So set the timer interval. I'm going to go get a math number, go get a 0, and I'm going to set it to 1,000. Okay, let's comment this. Okay, add a comment. Okay, 1,000 milliseconds is equal to anybody remember? 1 second. Oh, God. Did you see that? Okay, you didn't see that. Why is the X right next to the C? Be careful with that. Okay, 500 milliseconds is equal to 0.5 seconds. Okay? 250 milliseconds is equal to 0.25. So here's what I like to say here, okay? This one happens twice per second. So twice p per second, okay? This one happens 4 times per second. You with me on that? Okay, let's go 200 milliseconds. 200 milliseconds is equal to 0.20. How many times does 20 go into 100? Or how many times does 200 go into 100? Or 1,000, I'm sorry. 200 goes into 1,000, how many times? 5 times. So this happens 5 times per second. So if you wanted your sprite to move 5 times per second, you're going to set it to be 200 milliseconds. Computers think in milliseconds, not seconds. If you want it to be a second, we're going to set it to be 1,000. By the way, okay, so we'll just keep going here. 100 milliseconds is equal to 0.10, which is equal to 10 times per second. Okay, 10 milliseconds is equal to 0.01, okay, which is equal to 100 times per second. If you have your sprite set at 10, that sprite's flying around the screen, okay? You don't have to type this, as long as you go back and can see this, okay? All right, so let's go back to our designer. Do we want our clock to be in seconds? Yes, so we want 1,000 in this case. All right. So I'm going to show you how to go ahead and set this timer right here, okay? So in blocks, I'm going to go to my LBL time, and I'm going to set my text to be equal to a text box. You're going to go get a join, and I'm going to go get a text quote, okay? In that text quote, I'm going to type out time, colon, space, because if you remember our display, I want time, colon, space, 0. Are you with me on that? And then down here, I'm just going to put in my variable. What variable do I want to get? I want to get my game time, and I want to insert my game time. So it's going to take this 60 and put it right in there. You guys with me on that? It's going to take that 60 and plug it in right there, and it's going to say, okay, time, colon, 60 seconds. When you start this game, it should start out at 60, not 0. Who's with me? Why don't you just log in and go to DANDROID and watch some videos today? Can you do that? Yeah. LBL time text is this label up here. Remember the top label where we have time? Right here in your HA scoreboard. Do you have an LBL time? Okay, that's it. Is it a label? Do you have a capital letter A here? Okay, so then you go to time, and you go down and you look for LBL time.text. Look in there. Okay, so now let's go ahead and make the time tick. You ready to make the time tick? So we're going to go to clock game time, and there is the event when.timer, when it's timing. Timing is when it's ticking. When the game, so did I turn it on? Yeah, it's true. So now it's ticking. How often is it ticking? Every 1,000 milliseconds, which is how long, really? Every second. So every second I want it to tick, right? So I'm going to take my variable, and I'm going to set my game time, and I'm going to do some math with it because I'm going to subtract off. Now I'm going to go back to getting my game time, and I'm going to subtract 1 from it. Okay, and now I'm going to take this guy right here, and I'm going to plug it in there. And now it's going to go 60, 59, 58, 57, 56. You know what comes next? 55, 54. You know what comes next? 53, 52, 51, 50, 49, 48. You with me? Who understands what I'm doing there? Okay. So we just handled the game time. Except, what do we want to happen if we get to 0? So now we need to control it. We need to control it if it gets to 0, right? So go to your control box and get an if out. If my game time. So go to my variables and get my game time. If the game time is equal to what? What do we need to be concerned about? 0. Are you with me? I'll have text-to-speech come on because I love Siri. And what can Siri say if we get to 0? What could she say to him? Game over. Okay. But here's another thing I need to do. What should happen to the clock if you get to 0? Should the clock keep running? No, the clock should not keep running. So you go get this clock game time enabled, and you're going to set it to false. If it's not enabled, it's false, right? And this will stop running at 0. Do we want to see if that works? Let's go ahead and test this, but guys, I'm gonna cheat here real quick, and I'm gonna send this to 100, so we don't have to wait an entire 60 seconds to get this to run. Are you with me? I just want to go 59 0 and then stop. Are you with me? So let's go see if this runs. Okay, so turn on your tablet. And let's see if our clock runs. Okay, so I'm going to pause the tape. All right, that worked perfectly. So if you have the code that I have, and it is exactly what I have, right? I have students say, Mr. Richter, I have exactly what you have, but it doesn't work. And then I go back there, and all this stuff is different. Okay? So be exact, be detail-oriented, and make sure you get exact. All right? Let's go on. How am I going to make my guy move? What do we have to do to make him move? No. What on our app makes the guy move? Let's go back and look at the app. The control panel. What on the control panel makes him move? The arrows. Left, right, up, and down button, right? Are you guys with me on that? So, once again, we're role-playing the app here. I don't know if you guys realize what we're doing, but we're role-playing the app, right? I'm acting like I'm going to press on the button. Okay? So now we just go back here and we press one button first. I'm just going to go start at the top, button up. Okay? Button up. So if the button goes up, if you press the up button, you want your sprite to go up. Is that correct? What goes up and down on an XY coordinate plane? Have we talked about the XY coordinate plane in here? No. Okay, so let's quickly go talk about the coordinate plane. All right. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the coordinate plane on a computer screen. So let me go grab a shape here. And this shape is going to be a rectangle. Hello, shapes. All right, so you're going to pretend with me this is your canvas. Okay. So this is your canvas, right? Who understands that? And you guys have a sprite that is really just a little small rectangle. And this sprite, top left corner, you guys may want to draw this on your engineering design paper. This top left corner is its XY coordinate. It's its location. And it's done with an XY coordinate point. Are you with me on that? Now, let's go focus on this top left corner of the canvas. Okay? The top left corner of the canvas is 0, 0. Okay? So, if you want to increase in the x and go right, okay, you need to go x is equal to x plus 10, or whatever, however many pixels you want to move. Okay, you need to increase going to, it's pretty traditional, right? And if I want to go left, what am I going to do with my x's if I want to go left? X is equal to x minus 10. Okay, so remember our so like this point over here is 300, 0. You guys remember talking about the screen being 300 pixels wide? So if I get to 300 and I want to go back to 0, you got to start subtracting off 300 to get back to 0 and go left. Are you with me on that? Okay. So this point over here was like 300, 400. Do you remember that? Remember we talked about the screen being 300, 400? Now our canvas is not going to be 400. It's going to be less than 400 because we took up some of those pixels, right, with our buttons and our label up top. But for the sake of talking, we're going to talk about this being 300, 400. Okay, what point is this down here? This is 0, 400. Okay, the y's. So how do I get from 0 to 400 here? What do you have to do to your y's to start going down? If I start at 0 and I want to go down to 400, what do I do? Add or subtract? Add. You're going to go y is equal to y plus 10. And that's going to make you go down. How do I go up then? Yep, you got it. So if I want to go up, okay, I'm going to go y is equal to y minus 10. Who understands this now? Okay, not that hard, right? It's just an upside down coordinate plane. If you study this, this is not that hard to understand. How many people can understand this chart now? Okay, so let's go program that. All right. So if I want to go up, wow, that's the one we started with, right? So I'm going to take my sprite. Let's go get my sprite. What's this, my sprite player, right? Where's he at? Image sprite player. Okay. And we're just going to do some really simple stuff here today. So I'm just going to be dealing with its x and y. Okay. If I want him to go up, I'm going to set my player's y to do math. And what kind of math do we want to do if we want to go up? Let's go back here and check this. Up is doing y equals y minus 10. Are you with me on that? So I'm going to go back here. And I'm going to say, okay, do the math. And this is going to be minus. So let's go back to your y. Sprite y. Image sprite y. Get its y. And subtract off 10 pixels. So I go here, grab a number, and I go 10. Okay? Now, since I'm in the y vein here, let's go ahead and do down. So I'm going to duplicate this and go do down. Okay? But down is not going to do y minus 10. What's it going to do? Plus 10, math. So you go get plus 10. I'm going to take this, drag this out, and put that in. Okay? Done. Now the guy moves 10 pixels down. Okay? But we also wanted to count how many times we hit that button. Are you guys with me on that? Okay. Let's go ahead and finish this, and then maybe next week we'll count how many times we want to do the button. I don't want to confuse anybody right now. All right, so let's copy both of these, and let's do our x's. Okay, so I know I'm going to mess it up. That's fine. Let's go do BTN right, and let's go BTN. Oh, you know what? I messed that up. Since I'm adding to go right, I should probably make this one right. And since I'm subtracting to go left, I'm going to go left here. There you go. So now all I need to do is change this y to be a what? X. And change this Y right here to be a X. Change this Y to be a X. Change this Y to be an X. Thumbs up if you understand what I just did. Now your guy is going to move around the screen. Okay? And let's have good old Siri come on and tell us what we're doing. Have some output, okay, because I love Siri, so she can talk to us, okay? And I'm going to put a text box in here. And I'm going to say, Yoshi, up. And I'm going to duplicate this. And I'm going to duplicate this. And the next one, so you're going to say Yoshi down. And then here we're going to say Yoshi went left. Yoshi left. And here we're going to say Yoshi right. Time we get out of here. 07. Okay. Who understands what I'm doing? Text to speech, we're just having fun with that, right? She's just going to say, you went right, you went left, you went up, you went down. Just to see if we're doing it right. If she says, I went up and you went down, then we got a problem. Are you with me? Or if you went right and you said I went left, we got a problem. You know what I mean? So just check to see if you got things right. Okay. So now we need to start counting. Okay. Now we just need to start counting how many times we did this. So do you guys remember us creating variables? Right? So all you do is go ahead and set your variable. And I'm going to say set count up. And I'm going to do some math with it. No, I don't need that. Delete that. So count up is equal to count up plus 1. So you're just going to go get your variable again. Okay. And it's going to be count up is count up plus 1. Okay. I'm not going to have time to do the print statement. We'll do that next week. You guys can figure that out if you want. Okay. And now I'm going to copy and paste this block. And I'm going to put it in every one. Do you guys see how, are you starting to see that programming is really a lot about copying and pasting versus writing every single letter block? Are you with me on that? So this is count down, so I'm just going to change this to count down. This guy gets changed to count down. This is count left. I'm going to change this guy to count left. This guy gets changed to count left. This guy is right, so I'm going to change this to count right, and this guy is count right. Okay? And now all we need to do is create a procedure that displays it. Okay? So I'm going to create a procedure that says display my counts. Okay? And we're not going to do anything here. We're not going to have enough time. But I'm just going to say, you know, display my counts in all these. Okay, and that's what your program looks like. And let's go run it real quick, see if it works. Why is right saying up? Something is not right there. All right, so I'm going to go hit, you might have to hit a hard reset and reconnect it. Okay, go connect your AI companion again. And it should work. Pretty confident it's going to work. Who learned something today? Did everybody, do you know how to create a variable now? Yes? Okay,